Hey guys, I'm here for episode 5 of the SX Monthly Podcast. We've got Andrew Young here, our project lead and one of our founders. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Declan. It's a lot of stuff happening in SX world nowadays, so excited to get into it.
Nice. So I think first off, we'd like to talk about a few of the big upcoming things to SX that are happening right now, specifically around like some new updates on our site with the merge and some other exciting updates that I won't get into and let you do the talking about.
Yeah, totally. So we just pushed a big product feature yesterday, which was the fee change. I know a lot of people have been sort of looking forward to that. And essentially what it is it lowers the taker fee on SX from 4% to 2% of winnings, which essentially I think makes us the lowest, if not one of the lowest cost betting exchanges in the world. Um, our mission with SX Bet is to lower the VIG for sports bettors down by 90%. So we call that the -101 mission. So what I mean by that is the typical American odds for call it a 50-50 match is typically -110, -110. For Euro bettors, that's 1.9, 1.9. And essentially what that means is if you bet both sides of a market, you will lose roughly 5% on average. And so that's kind of like the bid-ask spread of the sports betting market, or commonly called VIG. And so we think that's unacceptably high, particularly because both myself, Julian, and Jake come from the traditional financial markets world where stocks have less than a 5 basis points, so less than a 0.5% bid-ask spread. It's very cheap to buy and sell stocks. And so, and there's also just perfect transparency, and there's all sorts of other things. And so our goal with SX is to kind of lower the VIG for sports betting down by 90%. So get it down to 0.5% from essentially 5%. And lowering the exchange fee is obviously a big first step towards that. Currently, SX, now that we have this new fee change for our main sports, so MLB, NBA, NFL, and tennis sometimes, our average VIG is roughly 2%. It's even less once you take into account bet mining rebates and all that type of stuff. But just without even looking at that, it's roughly 2%. So we're pretty much now tied for lowest cost betting platform for certain sports, lowest cost in the world. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the fee change. I think it's sort of been a long time coming, and yeah, really excited about to finally have it live. We have also pushed a gasless Ethereum bridge. So you can essentially bridge USDC to SX network from Ethereum without having to essentially pay the sealer gas fee, which I know a lot of people were. It was reasonably expensive, about $50. So makes sense that people, that was a big sort of friction point for people to onboard onto SX. And we have some really cool things coming down the pipeline with bridging. It's sort of something that we're going to continue to work on because I know it's probably like the number one sort of friction point to using the platform. And then finally the merge, which you talked about. So the merge, we sort of did a phase launch where we launched the fee change first, and then the gasless bridge second, and then the merge, which is essentially having SX network validators also begin to participate in the sort of reporting process for markets, and in return earn all the protocol fees that the SX bet generates. Having those essentially be redirected to stakers and validators. That's going to be coming online in the next couple of weeks. We pushed sort of we'll call it like a back end portion of the merge already. And so yeah, we're just doing kind of a phase launch, and really excited about the SX merge, which again will be coming sort of in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, really, there's one other feature that we haven't yet actually announced. I don't know if if we should yet, but I guess everyone's going to be seeing it. It should be coming online on the banners on the site as well as the article. But I guess the final feature that we've been working on in secret now for it's been a couple months is essentially we're launching the world's first peer-to-peer parlay betting. So parlay bets are essentially bets were also called accumulators or multiples. It's where you combine multiple selections into like one mega selection, and essentially allows you to get a higher payout as the bettor. And so betting exchanges typically don't have parlays because it's such an exotic type of bet. But we designed this pretty unique, essentially like RFQ system for creating and requesting your own parlays, up to 10 legs. And then essentially any of our programmatic market makers who are listening through the API will essentially offer odds to the bettor. And so, yeah, we're really excited about that. That's going to be coming online in the next couple of days as well, sort of part of the phased launch. And so, yeah, so for bettors, you can finally do parlay bets, which people have been asking us forever for, but we didn't want to, sacrifice the peer-to-peer ethos of SX. And so we think we hit this middle ground where, we still have the peer-to-peer nature of it, but you as a bettor can do parlay bets. And then, for market makers is a huge opportunity. I think we're going to be pretty much the only platform in the world where you can market make parlays. So yeah, that's super exciting. And we got a pretty big marketing roadmap in the next couple of weeks to help promote all of these different product features.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. And especially as somebody who's just recently became part of the SXBet team, seeing all of these amazing features, roll out and bring us closer to each one of our goals for changing the sports betting landscape without compromising on any factors of like transparency, security, and, maintaining our position as a peer-to-peer betting exchange and still finding a way to roll out all of these awesome features is super exciting to see. And I can't wait for the next few months. So that's great. And maybe it would be cool to talk about a few of the new governance proposals. I know there was a big dump of those and a bit of a backlog, but some really exciting opportunities that tie into everything that you just talked about. And maybe you could run over a few of those and tell us some more.
Yeah, totally. So we sort of put together a couple proposals that people have been talking about for a while, that we're really excited to to really roll out. I'm just going to pull them up real quick. So, so I guess we sort of put them in the Discord for people to look at. We also released an article called "Supercharging SX Tokenomics," which came out, I guess, about a month ago. That got really good feedback from the community, and so we're pretty excited about all these different proposals. So the first one is to essentially lower the staking cooldown period. So currently there's a 60-day cooldown period from when you unstake to when you can actually withdraw your staked SX into like wrapped SX. And so 60 days, we did 60 days initially. This variable's actually changed a couple times throughout the years, but it got pushed to 60 days during the bull market, just because there was some people trying to game bet mining, and so that's no longer really a big issue. And so I think it's and people have been saying this for a while. It's sort of high time for us to lower the staking cooldown period to like more of an industry standard, which is typically 21 days, 14 to 21 days. And so, so this is essentially a government's proposal to lower it to either 30 days or 21 days, and essentially allow people to vote on what they think is best, and just kind of go from there. So there'll be actually 3 voting options: 60 days, 30 days, and 21 days. So pretty excited about that. That just makes staking SX even more attractive, because you're only giving up liquidity for 3 or 4 weeks instead of 60 days like it is currently. The second proposal was to boost the SX liquidity with the community fund. So take some USDC and essentially use it to buy back an LP SX on SharkSwap to increase the just overall token liquidity. It's pretty straightforward. SX is like relatively illiquid, and particularly now with the merge, there needs to be a way for validators to acquire SX in order to secure the chain. And so with the merge, the liquidity actually impacts the security of the protocol, which actually impacts the sort of fundamental user experience of SX.bet. And so to me, this is, again, this makes a lot of sense. It kind of allows us to better attract validators to the network, which is, obviously critical. The third proposal was to also just allocate funds from the community fund to essentially do a three-pronged marketing plan focused on bet credit promos. So that's things like tournaments, deposit bonuses, welcome bonuses, things like that. The second was for odds comparison integrations. So we think SX will be, one of the lowest cost betting platforms in the world. And for professional sports bettors, we want to get more eyes on SX, and the best way to do that, or I guess an easy way to do that, is to get integrated on all sorts of different odds comparison tools, so people can actually see in practice how good our odds are, which is obviously a huge incentive to onboard onto the platform and sort of join the community. And then finally, the third prong of this was to do some experiment with some influencer marketing campaigns, which, it just obviously has a lot of success in other crypto projects. So, really, really excited about those three. And then finally, the sort of the fourth proposal was to essentially lower the amount of SX that's given away each week from bet mining by 50%. So go from 150,000 SX to 75,000 SX. This is essentially just mirroring the taker fee being lowered from 4% to 2%. And essentially it cuts roughly 4 million of SX inflation per year. Just cuts that out. So that's actually quite substantial. I think all four of those are great. There's actually a couple more proposals in the article, but I think those are kind of like the key first four to start with, and just go from there.
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely encourage everybody to go check out those proposals and give feedback if they haven't. You can find them in our Discord server or in the article, like Andrew said. So that's awesome. So now I've read a few of all of your articles that you've posted on your Medium, and one that I thought was particularly interesting, that a lot of people ignore sort of in the sports betting side of things, is the opportunity to build market making bots and utilize the SX API to make money from sports betting. I think a lot of people ignore the fact that there's a side to sports betting other than just throwing down money on your favorite team. So maybe you could talk a little bit more to that and the opportunities in that area.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with degenning into a Toronto Raptors bet or whatnot, but there's like sports betting is sort of unique. I always think it's not like other sort of gambling games like casino, in the sense that there's no professional slots players, or at least I don't know if there's any professional slots players, but there is professional sports bettors, because at the end of the day, it's a very tough market to do well in, but it is possible to generate positive returns over time, and there's people who do it professionally. And one of the challenges for why it's so hard to do is just the fact that with traditional sports betting platforms, you're effectively paying a 5% transaction fee every time you bet, and so that's obviously a huge driver of why we're building SX. Becoming a professional sports bettor would be a lot easier if the sort of implicit transaction fee was only 0.5% instead of 5%. But either way, even with the sort of 5 to 7% vig that sports bettors deal with, there are professional sports bettors, and there's sort of a variety of different strategies that they employ. And I just wanted to tackle some of the sort of like quantitative or automated betting strategies that some bettors employ. And so, yeah, if you just kind of like one of the really cool things about SX is it's like a programmable betting platform, in the sense that we have open APIs which you can hook into and build, like your own quantitative sports betting fund or hedge fund or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so some of the strategies some people have built or are building. So the first is just like a traditional market making strategy. So essentially what that is hooking into the API, and then hooking into either another market maker or just like an odds feed, and essentially offering liquidity for tens or hundreds of markets simultaneously, and then essentially adjusting your offers as the data comes in. And the idea there is by offering liquidity, you can essentially add your own margin. And the idea is if you're getting sort of even action on both sides, or even without even action, you should over time, the individual results of any market should balance out, and you should just be collecting the sort of that margin that you're set. It's obviously dependent to like if you're attracting what's called toxic flow, so consistently profitable bettors, that will obviously hurt your profitability. If you fat finger something with your bot, that will obviously hurt you as well. But the idea is sort of just is essentially acting as like a liquidity provider for the market, and collecting that margin, essentially acting as the bookie. So that's a pretty common strategy that people use. It also generates tons and tons of volume, so you'll earn a lot of SX from bet mining, as well as do well in betting tournaments. So that's kind of like an added bonus. The second strategy is what we call opinionated bookmaking. So this is essentially doing the work to figure out which side you think will win, and then rather than just taking bets, rather than just like placing a bet on the side that you think is going to win, you essentially offer liquidity on it, or I guess the opposite side of it. And so the idea is you're sort of trying to combine the first strategy, which is market making, with some sort of positive, you can call it alpha from your selections. So there's a couple market makers on SX that do that. Typically, like the most sophisticated users on the platform employ some sort of opinionated bookmaking strategy. It definitely takes a lot more. It's even more work, obviously, than the first strategy, which is more sort of just kind of blindly or naively following the odds. And then, the third strategy is the least amount of work, I guess. It's just copy betting. So just finding smart people on the platform using third-party tools like SX Lab or SX Sharks. We can include the link in this pod, so you can find them. And just essentially looking for what people are betting on, and if they have a good track record, just copying them. And I think the key there is to figure out what sports different people sort of specialize in, and then these third-party analytics tools sort of break down people's performance by sports. So I think that's a great strategy as well. Obviously, the pros there is that it's a lot easier. The sort of cons is the strategy is kind of out of your control. You're really sort of relying on other people to essentially win for you. That's all three of those strategies are definitely viable, and particularly on SX, where it's a peer-to-peer betting exchange that's also fully programmable. So we've released some content. We're going to keep releasing more and more, as well as put out some tutorials. I know there's some teams building third-party tools to make all three strategies easier to do as well. So I'd expect some stuff to come out in the next couple of weeks there as well. Just make it easier to do if you're not, if you're not kind of a coding wizard. A lot of really exciting sort of strategies you can employ, or you can just, pick a 10-leg parlay and YOLO. That's also pretty fun.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what I'll be doing once parlays come out. That's my way of but yeah, for sure. Everybody who's watching this, I'd encourage you to go check out some of those articles on AY's Medium, and then also you can obviously find more info about utilizing the SX Bet API and building bots from our doc. So yeah, for sure, check some of those out. Yeah, so one other thing before we end off the pod for this month, I thought maybe it'd be cool to introduce the Wimbledon tournament that we have going on. I know there's a lot of bet credits up for the taking if you want to take a stab at it and join the tournament. So yeah, Andrew, I'll let you talk some more about that.
Yeah, totally. So there's a $10,000 SX Wimbledon Classic Tournament. So essentially, it's a betting tournament on SX where there's $10,000 in bet credits being awarded to, I think, the top 50. And it actually just started today. There's only about 75 people in the tournament right now. I think probably over time it'll get to over 100. But yeah, I mean, either way, incredible opportunity if you're a tennis bettor to earn some extra rewards. Just given the fact that there's 50 spots up for grab and there's only 75 people in the tournament. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff. There's actually huge amounts of Wimbledon to bet on right now because the first, or I guess the second and third day of Wimbledon got canceled essentially because of the rain. So there's a huge backlog of matches happening over the next couple of days. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff to take. I think we got Djokovic playing. We got. I mean, I personally think Djokovic is probably going to take it. Maybe he'll. I don't remember exactly the draw, so I'm not sure if he plays Carlos in the semis or the finals. But I think whenever those two play, that will probably decide who the winner is. And I still think Djokovic sort of gets it done and equals Federer's record for most Wimbledon wins in a row. I don't know. What do you think, Declan?
Yeah, I think my money's going to stick with the Joker for this one as well. He stays the GOAT, and there's some other exciting people for sure. And I've seen Carlos coming out super hot in his first match there, which got me pretty excited. But no, I stay hands down on the GOAT for sure. Yeah, keep my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, I like Dolo as well, Soon Dolo. He's been looking pretty good. We'll see how that kind of goes. Sinner looks pretty good as well. And then I think Zverev, I think he's got a pretty tough draw though, so I'm not sure how far he'll get in. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people to watch, and it should be a pretty insane tournament, just given how many matches have been delayed. So, but yeah, if you still time to join the tournament. One of our biggest tournaments in a long time, and so so definitely join the SX Classic tennis tournament if you've got a chance. We'll be releasing more tournaments over the next couple of months, and yeah, really excited for the summer and the fall. I guess one last point. We also recently updated all of our docs. So if you're looking for more information on SX projects, the docs.sx.technology website is fully updated now, and there's a lot of stuff on sort of our mission. It actually goes over our detailed roadmap over the next couple of weeks and months, as well as more. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again, Andrew, for taking the time to give everybody the fine details on what's going on with SX and what to expect in the up and coming future. We'll make sure to stay up to date with us on Twitter at SXBet and at SX Network, and join our Discord if you guys ever want to connect with our community and stay up to date with things there as well. I think that about wraps things up.